Imagine the silence. Not the quiet of a sleeping house or the stillness of a midnight forest, but a heavy, pressurized void where the hum of the modern world simply ceases to exist. You reach for the light switch, but the room remains swallowed in shadows. You check your phone, but the screen is a cold, dead slab of glass. You step outside, and the streetlights are dark. The traffic is a tangled graveyard of stalled engines and confused drivers. There is no siren, no explosion, no warning. Just a sudden, absolute absence of the digital heartbeat that keeps our civilization alive. This is not a dream. This is the first 5 minutes of the war you didn't know we were already losing. While we were looking for tanks on the horizon and missiles in the sky, the enemy was already inside our pockets, our bedrooms, and our power grids. The next World War won't be announced with a declaration or a speech from a podium. It will be announced by the sound of everything you rely on simply stopping. We are living through the most dangerous period in human history, not because of the weapons we can see, but because of the ones we can't. This is the Silent Tsunami, and the first wave has already made landfall. In the basement of a nondescript office building halfway across the globe, a single finger hovers over a key. There is no sweat on the brow of the operator. There is no tremor of hesitation. With a single tap, a sequence of code years in the making cascades through the underwater cables that form the nervous system of the planet. It bypasses firewalls that cost billions to build. It mimics the credentials of trusted administrators. It finds the heart of a nation's electrical grid and whispers a lie to the turbines. It tells them they are spinning too slow, and then it tells them they are spinning too fast. Within seconds, the physical hardware of a superpower begins to melt under the weight of its own digital ghost. This is the new face of conflict. It is a war of bits and bytes, where a well-placed line of code is more lethal than a sniper's bullet and more devastating than a carpet bombing. The story of how we got here begins not in a bunker, but in a quiet laboratory in 2010. The world was introduced to Stuxnet, the first true digital weapon of mass destruction. It was a phantom created by the most brilliant minds in intelligence, designed for one purpose: to hunt and destroy the Iranian nuclear program without ever leaving a footprint. Stuxnet was a predator. It sat in the darkness of the target systems for months, observing, learning, and waiting. When it finally struck, it didn't just crash a computer. It tore apart physical centrifuges by manipulating the very laws of physics they relied on. But Stuxnet was just the beginning. It was the Wright brothers' plane compared to the hypersonic digital missiles we are facing in 2026. Since that day, the box has been opened, and the ghosts have escaped. Every major power on Earth has spent the last decade planting logic bombs inside the critical infrastructure of their rivals dormant, viruses hidden in the software that controls our water, our gas, and our hospitals. They are waiting for the signal. They are the invisible soldiers in your home, and they are already in position. If this realization makes the air in your room feel a little thinner, it's because your intuition is finally catching up to the reality that groups like the CIA and the Mossad have been grappling with in the shadows. We are uncovering the architecture of this hidden world here at Spy World Stories, and if you have the courage to look behind the curtain with us, subscribe now. Because the deeper we go, the more you realize that the safety we feel is nothing more than a carefully maintained illusion. The lights are still on today not because we are safe, but because of a delicate digital balance of terror. We are living in a state of hot peace, where every nation is holding a digital knife to the throat of its neighbor, waiting for someone to flinch. Consider the winter of 2015 in Ukraine. It was 2 days before Christmas. In a darkened control room, technicians watched in horror as their mouse cursors began to move on their own. It was as if a ghost had taken over their stations. One by one, the breakers at the regional substations were clicked into the off position. Tens of thousands of people were plunged into freezing darkness. It was the first time in history a power grid had been taken down by a remote cyber attic. But it wasn't just about the lights going out. It was about the psychological trauma of knowing that your home is no longer your castle. The attackers, a group later linked to some of the most sophisticated intelligence operations in the world, didn't just turn off the power. They disabled the backup systems and jammed the phone lines of the utility company so that people couldn't even report the outage. They wanted the people to feel helpless. They wanted the state to feel fragile. They wanted the world to know that the era of the front line was over. Now, the front line is your living room. But the Silent Tsunami isn't just about physical destruction. It is a war for the very concept of truth. We have seen the rise of information dominance operations that make traditional propaganda look like a child's toy. Algorithms are now capable of generating millions of deep trust personas, digital entities that look, sound, and act like your neighbors, your friends, and your leaders. They don't just spread lies. They drown the truth in a sea of noise. They find the existing fractures in our society, our political anger, our religious differences, our economic fears, and they drive a digital wedge into them until the society shatters. This is the invisible front line, where your mind is the territory being occupied. Every time you feel an unexplained surge of rage while scrolling through your feed, every time you find yourself hating someone you've never met based on a post you can't verify, ask yourself, is that your emotion, or was it programmed into you? In 2017, the world felt the shockwaves of NotPetya. It was marketed as ransomware, a simple criminal scheme to extort money. But that was a lie. NotPetya was a weapon of pure chaos. It didn't want your money, it wanted to erase your data forever. It spread like a wildfire through the global supply chain, paralyzing shipping giants, pharmaceutical companies, and government agencies. It cost the global economy over $10 billion in a matter of days. But the true cost wasn't in the dollars. It was in the revelation that our global connectivity is our greatest vulnerability. We have built a world where everything is connected to everything else, which means a virus in a small accounting firm in KU can stop a ship in the middle of the Atlantic. We have created a monster that we can no longer control, and it is hungry. As we move deeper into 2026, the war has escalated to the heavens. Satellites, the silent watchers that coordinate our GPS, our banking, and our military communications, are the new high ground. We are seeing close proximity operations in orbit, where stalker satellites move silently alongside their targets, ready to disable them with a burst of high-energy radio waves or a physical strike. Imagine a world where the GPS suddenly stops working. Not just for your car, but for the oil tankers in the ocean, the planes in the sky, and the missiles in their silos. The world would go blind and deaf in an instant. This is the Orbital Blackout, a scenario that intelligence agencies fear could happen at the start of any major conflict. If you can't see the enemy and you can't talk to your friends, the war is over before you even know it started. This hidden conflict is being managed by a new breed of general autonomous AI systems. We have reached a point where the speed of cyber warfare has exceeded human comprehension. These AI agents can launch millions of probes and attacks per second, searching for a single crack in a nation's armor. They don't need sleep, they don't have ethics, they only have objectives. We are now living in a world where the most important decisions about our survival are being made by algorithms that operate in milliseconds. If an AI detects a digital intrusion that it perceives as an act of war, it might launch a retaliatory strike before a human commander even has the chance to review the data. We are spiraling toward an automated escalation that could end the world because of a glitch in a neural network. If this vision of the world feels like a descent into madness, it's because the rules of reality are being rewritten in real time. Share this documentary with those who still believe the world is the same as it was 20 years ago. We need to have a conversation in the comments about the digital sovereignty of the individual. How do we protect our minds and our lives when the very tools we use to communicate have been turned against us? This isn't just about cybersecurity. It's about human survival. Think about the financial zero day. Imagine a morning where you wake up and every digital record of your wealth has been deleted. Not just your bank account, but the records of the bank itself. The mortgage, the loans, the stock holdings all gone. The global economy is built on a foundation of trust and digital ledgers. If those ledgers are wiped, the trust evaporates. Currency becomes worthless paper. The supermarket's empty in hours. The social contract dissolves. This is the ultimate weapon of the Silent Tsunami. It doesn't require a single bomb. It just requires the deletion of a database. This is why the world's intelligence agencies are in a frantic race to develop quantum-resistant encryption, because the day a quantum computer can break our current codes is the day the world as we know it ends. The next time you see a technical glitch at an airport that grounds thousands of flights, or a server issue that takes down a major social network, don't just sigh and move on. Look closer. These are the footprints of the ghost. These are the reconnaissance missions of the next world war. They are testing our resilience. They are seeing how long it takes for us to panic. They are mapping the nervous system of our civilization so they can paralyze it when the time is right. We are living on borrowed time, in a world held together by crumbling code and the hope that the balance of terror holds for one more day. The silent tsunami is already here. It's in the static on your radio. It's in the deepfake voices of the people you trust. It's in the strange, coordinated movements of the global markets that no human can explain. We have moved beyond the age of the spy and into the age of the machine. The war has begun, but there are no sirens to warn you. There are no bunkers to hide in. The battlefield is everywhere, is in your pocket, it is in your car, and it is in your head. As you finish watching this, the algorithms are already calculating your reaction. They know if you're scared, they know if you're skeptical, and they are already preparing the next nudge to keep you exactly where they want you, silent, confused and waiting for a tsunami that has already made landfall. The only question left is, are you ready to face the truth, or will you just wait for the screen to go black forever? You are not a spectator in this war. You are the objective. And in the silent tsunami, the only thing that can save you is the truth they are trying so hard to hide. Stay vigilant. The machine is always learning, and it never forgets your face.